Okay, so I'm with Alan today from Bolton Diggers, and during the summer and the autumn of 2021, Bolton Diggers put a series of talks on at Victoria Halls in Bolton about the alternative economy. And can you tell us something about how the talks went, Alan? What were the aims and objectives, and how it all went down?
Yes, the talks went very well. We got some funding from Transition Network, which is an international network trying to bring about positive social change based on maintaining and developing social and ecological balance. We had a good variety of speakers. We had people from local microbreweries. We talked a lot about domestic production, and we went into the fact that the whole of the Lancashire textile industry started off in domestic production. We had a brilliant local woodworker came down. We had soap makers, barn makers. We looked at social enterprises. Emmaus came down. Everything they do is based on recycling and on the circular economy. We looked at alternative energy, about the pioneering work done by Greater Manchester Community Renewables, getting solar panelling on community centres and schools. We looked at local markets, car boot sales as aspects of alternative distribution and face-to-face dealing, which is socially based. We talked about food growing, which is something obviously very close to our own hearts. We talked about how market gardens can be redeveloped in this region. And it's important to think that in terms of food growing, that the era of cheap, low quality food is over really, and we have to sort of take back control of the food system. The whole idea behind the talks was our sort of disgruntlement with the standard model of economic development, really, which we've seen really come to the fore. All the bad things about it with the pandemic. So things like overpaid CEOs, tax breaks, tax avoidance by all these large corporations, how large companies come into Bolton, they hoover up local wealth but give nothing back, just offering 0 hours contracts, low pay, poor working conditions, and but they're all quite happy to take government bailouts when it all goes wrong, which the rest of us can't get access to. So as general principles, talking about alternatives, we wanted to look at things which were locally based, ecological, domestic based, neighbourhood based, cooperative, organic, not necessarily ticking all those boxes, but at least ticking some of them. And it's funny how a lot of the large corporations, these sort of things, like say local, ecological, cooperative, the large corporations always try and portray themselves as having some of these things themselves, which they actually don't. It's people and local communities themselves which have to revive local economies. So I'd say a lot in terms of the lessons we've learned from getting these speakers down, having discussions, and developing different ideas. We've learned that in our locality, in the Northwest region, there's a wealth of expertise, skills, knowledge, which we can all draw upon for developing new ideas. We've learned that change is a process, and part of this is our communities self-educating themselves and raising our own consciousness about things. The participants, the people who came down, listened to the talks, participated in the discussions. There was a great keenness to discuss things, to share ideas. There's a great interest in what's happening in Bolton, in the town centre, and in the local food economy, and people really wanted to get involved in that, participate and within it, and have the input of their own ideas. We also learned that there's a great deal of, within working class communities, there's a great deal of division over things like COVID, over Europe, and other things. And if you look, but if we all concentrate on practical things like developing local economies, that's something that can bring people together. So it's a great opportunity for unity and around practical projects, which local political structures aren't necessarily going to help us in. That we have to do it ourselves. There's a lot of ideas around receptiveness to the idea of democratising work. We supposedly live in a democracy, but if you look at the economy, it's just totally authoritarian and totalitarian in a lot of ways. So the idea of us participating within the running of economic enterprises and sharing wealth more widely and developing a more ecological economy. There's a lot of receptiveness to that, really, which we want to build upon on the back of the talks. But so just as a final thing, it's worth remembering, like I said, food growing is something very close to our own hearts. When you grow local food, it keeps wealth within our communities and out of the hands of large corporations. If you support local distribution networks, like local websites, platforms, car booths, markets, direct selling, that's developing this local ways of distributing our local goods and services. If you buy local, you're supporting local jobs. If you're buying local, it's vital to do this to bolster our local economy and take an interest in it. That's it, really.
Right. Well, thanks for that, Alan. And I'm just going to watch a few minutes of what some of the attendees to the talks made of the talks during the summer. And up to now, thanks everybody who's watched and participated. Okay, so one of the outcomes of Bolton Diggers' talks on the alternative economy was a collaboration with the local branch of Bolton Extinction Rebellion, and they put an amazing clothes swap on. And could you just tell us a little bit about the clothes swap and the idea behind it?
We had an event held at Victoria Halls in Bolton, and it was a clothes swap event where people could come and bring 10 items of clothing, and then they could go away with potentially up to 10 items of clothing. The reason we did this was because fashion is the third most polluting industry in the world after oil and agriculture. Right. So fast fashion is a really big problem at the moment. Clothes can be so cheap, people often will wear them once and they'll go in the back of their wardrobe. So with it being having such a high impact on the planet, we prefer a more circular economy, so that people maybe wear them till they're bored, and then pass them on to somebody else who will wear them and keep on, and perhaps fixing, mending, upcycling, changing them into other things, just anything to keep it circulating and avoiding the waste that we've got now.
Sounds great. So are you thinking of any more clothes swaps in the future, maybe?
Yeah. Everybody that attended was really enthusiastic about it. A few of them have been to other events that were proving really successful, and it was just a really nice atmosphere as well. Everybody was really in support of the cause. Everybody agreed that fast fashion is a really big problem at the moment. So I think we're hoping to do more events.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Karen. Thanks very much. Okay, so with Bob, who's from the Halliwell plot, and could you just tell us in a minute or so about your favourite talk from the recent alternative economy talks, please, Bob?
Yes, one that I liked very much was the uses of wood. Glenn Roberts, who was the woodworker, he was really down to earth, and he explained his love of the art very, very clearly and very well. He brought some things that he'd made, and one of them was a catapult. But it was really good, and I really enjoyed it. And he explained it very well.
Yeah, he was one of my favourites too, Bob. Very down to earth.
Oh, right.
And very, very, very clear. And also there was quite a lot of local history
Yeah, very much so, yes. And about wood itself, you know, what happens, how it's grown, and all sorts of things about it. But he came over he put his subjects over very well.
Yeah.
You know, he explained it
He
very
did.
well.
He's a true master, Glenn.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff, doesn't he?
He is a good one, yeah.
And generally, do you think there should be more sort of alternative economies developing over time?
Yes.
I think it's a good thing.
But you must remember at our level, you know, it must be at our level.
Of course.
But what I mean by that is small groups.
Yeah.
Not big, you know, organisations.
No problem.
Even schools. And
I understand that completely.
It's not for us. That sort of thing is not for us.
Yeah.
We wanted how to do it, sort of thing.
Of course, yeah. Well, thanks for your time, Bob.
Okay.
And very illuminating few minutes, pal. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Right, so I'm with Fred, who's from Halliwell Community Plot, and you attended one or two of the alternative economy talks, Fred. Can you tell me which one you enjoyed?
Yeah, I went to the one called Power from the Sun, all about alternative energy. I found that quite interesting, and I learnt a lot what I didn't know before.
So what, solar and...
Yeah, solar panels and wind turbines, all done on a low and small scale, really.
All right.
So it's something you could use yourself.
Yeah.
In a small an allotment where you need a bit of electricity for lighting and propagators. So that was the main one that I enjoyed.
Oh, that's good. So it's quite useful in terms of you could transfer these skills to
to my way of life, really, and
Well, thanks for your time, Fred.
Welcome.
And take care, pal. Right, so we're with Elizabeth, who's from Great Lever Diggers Community Food Growing Hub, and Elizabeth, you recently attended the Diggers Alternative Economy talks. Could you tell me a little bit about any that you found interesting or useful?
Well, I only went to 3 of them.
Okay.
So the one I really enjoyed most, I think, was the Kinding Trust, because I know a little bit already about the Kinding Trust. I've been to some of their meetings many years ago.
Right.
So it was really interesting to find out how they're developing, and especially to see that they have developed so much.
Yeah, they seem to be doing very well, don't they, at the moment?
Yes, I think what I particularly took away from it is the need to have a long-term vision of what you're wanting to achieve, so that you can sort of be planning. Because they talked for a long time about having setting up a farm, and now they've got to the stage where they've got the funding for it, and it's been years in the planning.
Of course.
Because they've thought that far ahead, they've managed to get to the point where they can raise a huge amount of money and hopefully get this project going. So yes, I was very impressed with what they've done, and they're pleased to see that they are making progress.
Well, great. Yeah, there's definitely, I agree, there's a lot to be said for concrete long-term planning with big projects. Makes lots of sense. And any others that floated your boat, Elizabeth? Or?
Right. I went to the one about the housing co-op in Lancaster.
Okay.
And that was really interesting as well. Again, it was the benefits of thinking big and planning long term were very clear. I have to say that I would find kind of responsibility for such large sums of money very scary.
Of course, yeah.
But if you want to achieve something, on a big scale, this is you do need to be really well organised, and they really were. And I was impressed with how well organised they had been in all the things they had done. And the getting broadband, the work they'd done to get broadband to their remote location was something I was really impressed with.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for your time, Elizabeth.
Right.
Take care.